Okay, good morning, class. So, before we start our class today, let us first pray. Let us bow our heads and let us close our eyes and we will pray. Yes, Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, today for giving us the opportunity to learn more from you and in this class. We're praying, Lord God, and declaring that you may give us wisdom in order for us, Lord God, to understand the lesson that we have for today. Thank you for this day, Lord God. Thank you for the wisdom, the strength, the beauty of life. All the praises and all the glory, Lord, belongs only to you. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Good morning, class. My name is Teacher Babylin Armangubat, one of your teachers for today.
Good morning. My name is Teacher Milen, and I am also one of your teachers for today.
Good day, everyone. My name is Teacher Elea Marie P. Omega, one of your teachers for today.
Blessed, blessed day to all of us. My name is Cheryl Rosa, one of your teacher today.
Good day, everyone. I am Rod, and I will be one of your facilitator for today.
So before we start discussion, I would like to check the attendance and ask if there are any absentees in this class. Are there any absentees in this class?
Ma'am,
Yes,
um, there is no absent for today po.
that's good to hear. So I guess we can now start our discussion.
Yes,
Opo,
ma'am.
ma'am.
So okay. So before we can start our lesson for this day, can anyone tell me what have we learned on our past discussion?
Permission to speak, ma'am.
Yes, po.
What I have remembered, ma'am, is that we tackled about the Sonnet 18.
And what about Sonnet 18?
Uh, it's about the writings of Shakespeare.
Okay. Anyone else?
Ma'am,
Yes, you can speak.
as what I can remember last time we have discussed about existentialism and the concepts of it. And there are, I think, four, which are absurdism, alienation, nothingness and death, and dread and anxiety.
That anxiety. So thank you, Miss Miranda. So I think you forgot another one, which is the freedom. So we have five tenets in existentialism. So that's great. And
Very good, class. It seems like you really learned a lot from our previous lesson, especially the concept of existentialism. Today, class, we will proceed to another topic. However, before we start our next lesson, let us first watch this interesting video that most probably one of you have already watched this or you've seen this on social media, especially those who always like to browse on Facebook. So let's not, without further ado, let's all watch this video.
To all the professors, good day po. Isa ko sa mga estudyante nga nag-suffer sa online class. Naunta ko'y hangyo mga ma'am ug sir. Ay tawon mi ninyo dapon ugi og mga activities. Dili mi robot nga sa diha-diha dayon mapasa. Dili mi mga genius nga isa ra kaskan sa mata nakasabot na. Napon mi buhatonon sa amo ang balay. Di na makahimo sa pagpanglaba kay magsige na lang og online kay naghulat basin naay pinakalit nga i-post. Wala pa nahuman og pasa ang isa ka activity, dungaga na pud og another activity. Maglisod man gani mo mga professors at teachers mag-online nga ma-replyan ang mga concerns sa mga students, unsa na lang pug kahami nga mga estudyante nga walang-wala. Maglisod mig palud pero maningkamot mi para makapasa sa among mga requirements. Sa tinuod lang mga ma'am ug sir ni eskwela ko nga wa ko'y nasabtan. Ang ako ra giapas sa isang makapasa sa mga requirements. Dili ko utukan nga estudyante. Average student lang ko mga ma'am ug sir. Kung maingon mo nga ano nakaya sa uban, dili tanan ay mga professor nga magsabot sa ilaha. Dili tanan professor masinabtanon. Sa akong case mga ma'am ug sir, halap jud ang ako ang mata. Nga imbes nga akong ipa-eyeglass, ipalit na lang na siya og bugas. Every time magbasa sa notes sa cellphone, labad jud kaayo sa ulo, especially as nang tag-asa. Maglisod og sabot sa mga lecture ka nangalaktawan na. Ang ako lang concern as isa ka estudyante, dili lang po dunta dunganon inyong mga activity. Hinay-hinay lang mga ma'am ug sir. Ang among tumong makatuon. Pero gumikan na naning online class nga kita ang tanan nag-adjust. Wala namin nakatunan. Ang amo na lang yung tumong karon ang makapasa sa inyong ginapanghatag nga activity. Hope mga ma'am ug sir, wala estudyante nga sama na ko nga muundang na lang kay dili na makaya ang online class. Abi ko bag no student should left behind. Pero sa tinuod lang sa dili ra ako sa kay estudyante nga kaundang una og eskwela. Gusto man tuod ko muundang. Pero sa una lang akong pangandoy nga mulampos ta akong pag-eskwela. Sayang tuod ang mga tuig, mga mamong sir, kung maingon mag-undang lang sa. Dali ra ilitok ang word nga undang lang sa. Pero para sa ako, sa mga student, nag-graduate na ako ang batch, ako na lang ang nagpabilin. So sana mga professor, mapabaga dyan ko sa inyo ang numong nyo lang nahinaya o sen ang mga activities kay dili na yun makaya sa utok. To all the professors, good day po. Isa ko sa mga estudyante nga nag-suffer sa online class. Naunta ko'y hangyo mga ma'am ug sir. Ay tawon mi ninyo dapon ugi og mga activities. Dili mi robot nga sa diha-diha dayon mapasa. Dili mi mga genius nga isa ra kaskan sa mata nakasabot na. Napon mi buhatonon sa amo ang balay. Di na makahimo sa pagpanglaba kay magsige na lang og online kay naghulat basin naay pinakalit nga i-post. Wala pa nahuman og pasa ang isa ka activity, dungaga na pud og another activity. Maglisod man gani mo mga professors at teachers mag-online nga ma-replyan ang mga concerns sa mga students, unsa na lang pug kahami nga mga estudyante nga walang-wala. Maglisod mig palud pero maningkamot mi para makapasa sa among mga requirements. Sa tinuod lang mga ma'am ug sir ni eskwela ko nga wa ko'y nasabtan. Ang ako ra giapas sa isang makapasa sa mga requirements. Dili ko utukan nga estudyante. Average student lang ko mga ma'am ug sir. Kung maingon mo nga ano nakaya sa uban, dili tanan ay mga professor nga magsabot sa ilaha. Dili tanan professor masinabtanon. Sa akong case mga ma'am ug sir, halap jud ang ako ang mata. Nga imbes nga akong ipa-eyeglass, ipalit na lang na siya og bugas. Every time magbasa sa notes sa cellphone, labad jud kaayo sa ulo, especially as ang tag-asa. Maglisod og sabot sa mga lecture kanang laktawan na. Ang ako lang concern as isa ka estudyante. Dili lang po dunganon inyong mga activity. Hinay-hinay lang mga ma'am ug sir. Ang among tumong makatuon. Pero gumikan na naning online class nga kita ang tanan nag-adjust. Wala namin nakatunan. Ang amo na lang yung tumong karon ang makapasa sa inyong ginapanghatag nga activity. Hope mga ma'am ug sir, wala estudyante nga sama na ako nga muundang na lang kay dili na makaya ang online class. Abi ko bag no student should left behind. Pero sa tinuod lang sa dili ra ako sa kay estudyante nga kaundang una og eskwela. Gusto man tuod ko muundang. Pero sa una lang akong pangandoy nga mulampos ta akong pag-eskwela. Sayang tuod ang mga tuig, mga mamong sir, kung maingon mag-undang lang sa. Dali ra ilitok ang word nga undang lang sa. Pero para sa ako, sa mga student, nag-graduate na ako ang batch. Ako na lang ang nagpabilin. So sana mga professor, mapabaga dyan ko sa inyo ang mo. Nyo lang, nahinaya. O sen ang mga activities kay dili na yun makaya sa utok.
Wow, class. It seems like your facial reactions tells a lot about the ideas or your reactions regarding the viral video of the students. It seems like all of you can relate. So, before we proceed, I want to ask, what are your thoughts after you watch the videos? What are your realizations or which part of the video struck you the most? Anyone can answer, class?
Permission to speak, ma'am.
Go ahead, Cheryl.
Yes po. Based upon the video that I have watched, nakarelate po ako ng sobra dun, ma'am, kasi nahirapan din po talaga ako sa online class. Pero wala naman po akong choice, kundi ituloy po yung kung ano po yung ginagawa ko at pinapagawa sa akin ng teacher ko kasi kailangan ko pong makapagtapos ng pag-aaral. Ayun lang po.
Okay. Who else can share their thoughts?
Permission to speak po.
Go ahead, Elea.
Same thoughts po with Cheryl. Kasi po, this online class, parang nawawala na po kami ng pag-asa, di ba? Saka po, parang sobrang hirap na pong mag-aral. Pero, yun nga po, katulad po ng sinasabi nila, laban lang po habang para makapagpatuloy pa sa pag-aaral.
Very good. It seems like you really have a very positive view in life. Who else wanted to share? Is there anyone else or we will proceed? Okay, class, it seems like some of your thoughts are better left unsaid because you might probably relate a lot to this and you got so emotional. That's why you cannot share. However, guys, to give you a few background about the video, it is a viral video of a working student who actually named Lunesa Magbanwa from Central Mindanao University. Now, we can see in the video that the student is pleading about her situation in life, especially now that we are having an online class. So I believe all of us, we have this our own way of motivating ourselves, but for some, they rely on people's motivation, the encouragement of other people, and the advices of other people. Well, all of this, class, are acceptable and understandable. So From this video, we can depict a lot of what human values that later on we will discuss and we will discover if our lesson is related to this. So, are you ready with our lesson, class?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
So now that you have finished watching the video and you had expressed all your thoughts and perspective about it, we will now proceed to the main activity for our today's lesson. So I prepared a quiz slash game for everyone, and it is related to the video that you have watched. So this game is on a link. It is a 20 item true or false type of quiz, and I'll be giving you 5 minutes to finish this. And you initially have 100 points, and there will be a deduction of 5 points for every wrong answer.
Sir, where can we get the link po?
So for the beginning of the quiz, I'll be pasting the link on the group chat of this Google Meet, and then what you're going to do is, upon clicking the link, you may now start answering the quiz. So I'll be giving you 5 minutes to finish the activity.
Thank you po, sir.
You may now start now.
so class, did you have fun answering the quiz?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, so what have you observed while answering the game or
Permission to
answering the
speak.
quiz? Okay, you may.
I have observed, ma'am, that in the game or the activity, there are situations that I need to decide whether it is right or wrong.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Miss.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So while playing the game, what do you think is the most difficult situation that you encountered?
Ma'am, ako po, ma'am. Ma'am, ako po.
Oh, yes, baby.
I think the most difficult situation or question po, ma'am, yung question po number 16. Yung sabi po doon na ano, parang you should communicate po ba yun? Communicate with your family. Ganun about mga problems. Ganyan, ma'am. Parang feeling ko po, ma'am, ano po yun? Medyo difficult question po siya. Tsaka situation po, ma'am.
Wow,
Yun po.
wow, very well said. Thank you, baby Lynn.
Okay, class. So one of your classmates says that one of the difficult situation is about the question number 16, which involves the family. Well, probably, some of you here, you are not so open with your parents, with your brothers and sister. That's why you found it difficult situation. But class, your parents are always waiting for you Sometimes they're just not saying it, but if you would if you would have the courage to talk to them, you open up to them, because parents will always understand us. So don't be hesitate to communicate with your parents. Okay, class, for our next question. So, how will you respond if people will give you advice about life? Class?
Ma'am?
Ako po, ma'am. Ma'am, ako
Okay,
po.
go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
Ah, okay po. If people will give me advice po, siguro po I will be happy po kasi po feeling ko po, if they will give me advice, those person really cares about me po, ma'am.
Okay.
And also, they are thinking for my future, ganun po, ma'am. May paki po sila sa akin.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Elea. That is right. When your friends really care for you, they will give you advice. But at the same time, class, you should weigh which advice you should take, because not all advices are good for you. So that's it, class. So
So for the last question, class, what do you think is the importance of pieces of advice in your life that you get from other people? And are those advices will be helpful in your growth and success in life? Anyone
Permission
from
to
the
speak
class?
po.
Yes,
Permission to
please go
speak.
ahead. Go ahead.
The importance of pieces of advice in our life by other people lies on the fact that we are not alone here in this world. As what a famous quotation says, no man is an island. We are born here in this world to share our experiences with others, not just to self-reflect with ourselves, but also to know everyone's experiences. Yun lang po.
Thank you for that. And you have,
Additional answer po, ma'am.
yes, go ahead, Cheryl.
Yes, ma'am. What if po, meron pong mga advices na masakit po siya, pero helpful naman po siya. Kasi, like for example po, ako po, nakaranas po akong sabihan po ako na ano, kasi po syempre dahil ko daw pong sisirain ang apelyido nila. So, syempre po, alam ko po na it's a piece of an advice po para sa akin. Pero syempre po, masakit po sa akin yun. Pero syempre po, kailangan ko pong patunayan na hindi ko po gagawin yun. Mag-aaral po talaga akong mabuti hanggang makatapos po ako.
Yes, and that's right. What if you have a point? Because not everyone will say will help you, but as a while ago, that will be helpful in your growth and success in life. Okay?
Opo, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you
Okay,
po.
thank you.
Thank you very much, class, for your answers. Well, I can see that a lot of you has a lot to say and wanted to share more about um, the video and the activity. But class, I want you to reserve your questions, and as we go along with our discussion, we will find out what's really about these questions and this activity that is connected with our topic. So let us begin with our lesson. Okay, class, can any one of you read this lesson? Ma'am, the lesson for today or the poem for today is If by Rudyard Kipling po. Very good, Marikit. Thank you. So today we are going to talk about If It Is a Poem written by Rudyard Kipling. Are you excited, class? Yes po, ma'am. Opo, ma'am. We love poem po. So based on our objectives, we are going to identify the structure of the poem. I believe that we are already knowledgeable, class, with what are the structures of the poem and how to identify it. So later on, we will apply that knowledge as we analyze and observe the poem If by Rudyard Kipling. Another objectives, class, is interpret the message of the poem. So later on, as you read the poem, you are going to analyze it and you are going to comprehend what is the message of the poem. And aside from that, class, as we learn the structure and the message of the poem, then we will be able to produce what, class? A song or a poster and an infographic. Later on, I will discuss this, class, with you. Okay, class? So along with it are the other objectives that we have, like explaining the self-trust, resilience, perseverance, and humility that we will later on find out what or why is these concepts are in this objective. So class, at the end of this lesson, you will also create your own speech that is also related to the poem. So I believe that we are done with our objectives. Now let us proceed with our discussion. It. Actually, class, Rudyard Kipling is a poet, novelist, and a short story writer. He is what? The first English writer to receive the Nobel Prize in Literature. Aside from that, he was the most popular literary figure of his time. He was born again on December 30, 1865 in Bombay, India, to John Lockwood Kipling, his father, and his mother is Alice MacDonald Kipling, who was a teacher of architecture and an artist, inspired the character of one of Kipling book, which is Wonder House in Kipling's novel in 1901. So class, aside from that, did you know that Kipling also spent his early childhood in India and was cared by a Hindu nanny? As a young child, he spoke Hindu. However, as was the custom of the time, at the age of 5, Kipling was sent to boarding school in Britain, where he was subjected to severe strictness and bullying. So probably you can notice if you were able to read one of his novel or his literary text, there is a relationship between his experience to his text. After that, class, at the age of 6, actually Kipling went back to his parents in Lahore, India, and he began his journalist career there. And later on, of course, Kipling married an American woman which is named Caroline Ballister and moved to Vermont. They have 2 daughters and also an only son that they have, which is named John. Class, this son of Kipling, sadly later on, John died, and of course, Kipling, Rudyard, was really upset about it. And class, there is the reason for his death is because of the World War One. It happened during their period. And class, because of the death of John, actually, Kipling, he did not produce a lot text anymore. That's the time his death, John's death, actually blew to Kipling and was once cause of Kipling's eventual decrease in productivity in all aspects, especially in writing. Later on, Kipling or Rudyard Kipling died on January 18, 1936 in London, and his body was cremated and his ashes were buried in Poets' Corner at Westminster Abbey.
So now, let's read the whole poem.
If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your arm, if you can meet with triumph and disaster, and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings, and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sirens to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there's nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you but nor too much, if you can feel the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son.
Let us talk about a little background about this poem of Rudyard Kipling. Actually, it is perhaps his famous poem. Kipling composed the poem in 1909 while living in Great Britain. It was first published in 1910 in Kipling's collection of children's stories, Rewards and Fairies, as a companion piece to the story of Brother Square Toast, which is an account of George Washington and his presidency during the French Revolution. In modern times, class, if or this poem remains widely anthologized and is regarded a popular classic of literature, not necessarily for a display of artistry, but for its familiarity and inspiration. Now, class, after reading the poem, let us examine its structure. If is a didactic poem, a work meant to give instruction. In this case, if serves as an instruction in the several specific traits of a good leader. Kipling offers this instruction not through listing specific characteristics, but by providing concrete illustrations of the complex actions a man should or should not take which would reflect these characteristics. Aside from that, this poem contains 4 stanzas and it is a lyric poem that is composed of 4.
The poem that we are discussing today has also a rhyme scheme. So when we say rhyme scheme, What do you remember, class? Yes, exactly. Thank you, Pamela. So according to Pamela, rhyme scheme is the ordered pattern of rhymes at the end of a poem verse. So in order for us to understand more of our topic today, when it comes to rhyme scheme, let us use the poem of Rudyard Kipling to dissect every lines and to know what rhyme scheme being applied in this poem. Okay, class. We have here the first stanza of the poem, If, and let's start to identify.
Permission to speak, ma'am. Ang nakita ko po, meron pong pare-parehas na words sa dulo. Meron pong you, tatlo po. Tapos, ah, meron din pong magkatunog katulad ng waiting at saka hating. At meron din pong magkatunog ulit yung lies at saka wise.
Very good. Tama si Rodelio. So, as we can see, the first three lines ay magkakatunog siya. So, we will consider it as letter A. Okay. So, what about the fourth line? Ano nang gagawin natin dito?
Mama ko po sasagot. Wala na pong rhyming word sa pang-apat na line. Opo. Kaya parang pwede na po natin siyang i-identify as letter B.
Very good, Baby Lynn. So, tama si Baby Lynn. Dahil nga wala nang katulad ang nasa fourth line, it is being considered as letter B. So now, dahil nakita ko naman na nauunawaan nyo naman ang pagkakasunod-sunod ng rhyme scheme, we will go now to the fifth line. So, in the fifth line and in the seventh line, magkatunog ulit siya. So, ang waiting at ang hating, it is being considered as letter C. So, meron na tayong letter A, meron na rin tayong letter B, at ngayon meron na rin tayong letter C. So, therefore, ang last verses ay magiging letter D na siya. So, naipapaliwanag ko ba? Are you following me, class? Okay. Since nauunawaan nyo naman po ang pagkakaroon na ng rhyme scheme sa first stanza, we will now declare it as a rhyme scheme pattern of A, 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 B, C, D, and C, D. So, in other researches na nabasa ko, they called it as A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D. Pero dahil kasi sa analyzation natin, since ang first three lines ay tatlo ang U, so therefore, meron tayong tatlong A din. So, A, 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 B, C, D, C, D.
For the next thing that we're going to discuss is how if by Rudyard Kipling contains different literary devices and components. So in the second stanza, line 16, I have them highlighted words with worn out tools. Okay, it says here that with worn out tools, these highlighted words start with the same letter, which is obviously it is letter W. So we call this kind of poetic devices, an alliteration. So we can say that alliteration is a poetic device or a literary device that pertains to the usage or to the use of successive words or the successive words that uses the same letter within a line. So the next slide or the next video is also an example of alliteration. Let's take a look in this one. Also the important stanza line I've also highlighted this part. This is the second. It also shows the alliteration and the poem. So for the next, for in this part of the poem, okay, what have you noticed in this line? If you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, what have you noticed? Okay, can you see things that are being compared? Okay, we have this, in this line, we have this word triumph and disaster. They are being compared to the word impostor. So what do we call that poetic devices or poetic device? We call that literary device and metaphor. A metaphor. So a metaphor is kind of comparing things directly. We didn't use the word like or as, such as, but we don't use that word to compare those to compare two different things. Just like this one, the word triumph and disaster, they are being compared to impostor directly. We can't see any words such as like, such as. Okay, so the next, we should go to this next one. Okay, we are going to talk about the anticlimax. So for the fourth stanza, line 32 of the poem, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. So anticlimax is a kind of poetic device that is, we can see, it is the decreasing amount, not really decreasing amount, but anticlimax is the disappointing ending of the poem or of the poem. So this part, it is the very last line of the whole poem. We can say that as of all the things that we have talked or of that the writer have listed in the start up to the middle up to the end of the poem, it all falls to this line. And which is more, you'll be a man, my son. It is like kind of ending that we are expecting, so that makes us not really very disappointed, but that ending make us kind of disappointed. Thank you.
Good day, class. So another context or an evident feature of the text is the repetition of the word if. Rudyard Kipling evidently used this technique in order to reflect on different conditions and possibilities that the persona might encounter in life. It is also to instill ideals and possibilities of a man. As you can notice, there is a fatherly figure and a son like talking on the poem. The father is giving advice to his son and leading him to the path of the goodness and to the general ideas of becoming a good man in the future. Other people claim that the context of the poem is too unrealistic and demanding, in a way that nobody can do all of those possibilities easily. But on the end of the day, the poem is a matter of a parent's vision on his son, on his moral and practical future, and life as a good man. It's natural for a parent to guide his children and also becoming a role model for him or her to guide him to his or her future. Kipling's If is a proof that there is still a possibility for every life that you can still be good despite of the array of sins and evilness here in this world. You just have to listen to those people who care for you and who really knows what's the truth and what is good. So last concept or context that can be seen on the poem is the uncertainty. As you can see, the word if means possibility or not sure of something. So this uncertainty is reflected on the poem because Rudyard is expressing the obstacles and struggles that he might encounter in life. Like, for example, facing lies, experiencing pain with fuss, and also loving friends, something like that. So, Rudyard Kipling is really reflecting on life, and it expresses his obstacles and struggles and on how he can surpass all of that by being a good man and guiding his own son.
Life is a combination of success and failure, joy and sorrow, good times and bad times. We should accept both and face both situations with similar treatment. Here, the poet personifies triumph and disaster, capitalizing and calling them two impostors. They may be pretenders or cheaters. People becomes too happy in success and forgets their duty at hand. We may also get too complacent or proud at a small success, reducing our chances to reach higher goals. But again, at bad times, if we are too grieved, we may lose our faith and confidence. In both cases, our regular course of work is hampered. That is why the poet calls triumph and disaster two impostors. He asked us to treat those deceivers similarly with a smiling face. And in short, we have to be resilient because it enables us to develop mechanisms for protection against experiences which could be overwhelming, and it helps us to maintain balance in our lives during difficult or stressful situations.
Okay, so in this first four lines of the third stanza, it says here is that if you can make one heap of all your winnings, so heap means that it is a collection. So if this collection of winnings, if we bet it, if we risk it, and a pitch and toss. So by the way, pitch and toss is a game that involves betting. So if we bet this collection of winnings, or we can say that it pertains to money, and then we lose it, and then we start again without nothing, diba? It says here that it and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss. So what does this first four line means? It means it pertains that um, we should never whine, we should never um, boast. Diba? We should always be quiet whenever we lost about things, we win things, or whenever we start things again. We should always be quiet about it. Okay, in this next four lines of in on the third stanza, it says here is that if you can force your heart and nerve and design you to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says them hold on. Kipling just wanted to say that, or the speaker of this poem wants to convey this message. It says here that we should always keep this will within us, diba? Because this will this will always give us this fighting spirit to go on in life. It says here that to serve your turn long after they're gone. It's just like if we are losing our hope, we do not have any hope in us to continue. However, this will keep us going. It will give us hope again. It will revive this passion in us to continue in whatever we are going to do, because this will, according to what I have said earlier, it will give us a fighting spirit. Because yeah, this will is a very powerful one. It makes us hold on to things, diba? Since you are now a grade 9 student, you have so much more to learn. So I want you to keep your will in you, so that you will continue your studies, or you will go on whatever you wanted to do with your life. And that is what the third stanza of the line is. So the speaker, or we can say that Kipling, he is conveying this message to us, that this third stanza, it means that it always goes back to perseverance, diba? This perseverance, as a person, as a man, we should always have this in us, so that we should be successful in our lives. That's what the third stanza in this poem means.
So now let's proceed to the fourth stanza. The fourth stanza of the poem by Rudyard Kipling, Eve, is generally about the theme of humility, being humble and being down to earth despite of attaining success. Fourth stanza wants to teach a concept or a message of a great man should fit all different sections of the society, meaning he can transfer from one level to another, from poor to rich, from those privileged and underprivileged. So a great man possessed humility in a way that he don't um, become proud of himself too much, and not being boastful towards other people despite of his um, winnings and awards, something like that. It also means moving around with the masses, communicating with different types of people without looking himself as a higher person than them. It also manifests or wants to teach about not letting go of our individuality and thinking about those things that we did before that we can still do now even we are successful person. Lastly, there's also a warning against arrogance, and you should also be humble and also value time about doing things that are relevant even you are already successful. To fully understand the fourth stanza, let's analyze every lines of it. So the first two lines says, if you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch. The word kings here symbolizes higher people, while the word common touch means the commoner. In order for you to be successful in life, you must be able to be humble and not turn your back from your past or where you came from. So that is the message of the first two lines of the fourth stanza. Also, interaction with different people is important because it will test your down-to-earth trait on how you will communicate in different types of social status. So the first two lines also gives emphasis to balance in relationship. Balance in a way that you are not choosing people to communicate with, and relationship because you are building good connection with them. First two lines also values the concept or message of a good leader is able to navigate between radically different social classes and still not become too much like either one. So it is the concept of not forgetting where you came from and being humble and continuing life without any hindrance or changes as you become successful in life. So next is the third and fourth line, which says, if neither false nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much. So the third and fourth line wants us to become strong as we go on in life. It teaches us to become durable, to become strong in every decisions that we make, because it is inevitable for us to meet or encounter people that we will become false with them or either loving friends. So next is the sixth and seventh line. I mean the fifth and sixth line. So it says that if you can feel the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance runs. The word unforgiving minute means um, time cannot forgive someone who wasted it. I mean, it wants to entail the message of valuing time, because time doesn't go back for you. It will not go back if you didn't do something good in the past. You really have to seize time relevantly and good things that is only helpful in your life. It only teaches us to value time and give importance to those good things other than those nonsensical things. We are down to the last two lines of the fourth stanza, which says, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. So this particular line has somehow two meanings for me. So the first one is that the fatherly figure in the poem is teaching his son to believe in himself and not to be affected by other people's words. And also, there is some negativity on this last line. Why? It doesn't mentioning any words about woman. And as you can notice, there are no woman in this poem. There is somehow a voice or a tone of being sexist and manhood superiority, something like that. But despite of that, the most important thing that we must remember in reading this poem is the positive message that it entails to us, and that is the theme or the concept of resiliency, self trust.
So it seems like you've learned so many things about our class for today. So I want you to do this activity. So your class will be divided into three groups, and the first group will compose a song about the poem. The second group will create a poster about the message of the poem, and then the last group will create an infographic about the response to the idea of the poem. So the rubrics is the content, the relation to the poem, and then creativity. Okay, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I will give you 5 minutes for you to do your activity. So you may start now.
So good day po. Ito po yung presentation namin about the song na i-relate namin dun sa kanta. So we created four stanza. So one particular line na maire-relate ko po sa kanta is yung the poem by Rudyard Kipling. There's a father figure inside the poem, and he is somehow advising his person that better find your way out of your fear. Somehow he is advising his son to be an ideal man and to follow such possibilities like believe in yourself and follow what your heart's desires. So yun po.
Opo, ma'am. Tapos po, ma'am, pwede po din yung poem po is parang pwede din po siyang po yung sinasabihan po niya is mga babae din po. Tas mga lalaki po, mga lahat po ng tao. Kasi ma'am, sabi po dito, yung sa kanta po namin, sometimes I feel so down my ups and downs, trials and tribulations. I overcome it day by day, feeling good and almost powerful. A new me, that's what I'm looking for. Parang ma'am po, sinasabi po dito na kahit po yung mga tao po, inaway po tayo or may hindi po sinasabi sa life po ma'am, ano po, we matured po tayo ma'am. Ganun po ma'am. Thank you ma'am.
Okay, that's great, Group 1. Let's give yourself a round of applause. Yeah. So, I think your song is very good. So, okay, let's move on to the next
Yes,
group. Group
makong
2.
poster. Yes, ma'am. Ito naman po yung ginawa ko
Group
pong
2.
poster.
Okay.
Ayan po. Nakikita po ba, ma'am, yung poster ko? Yes, ma'am. This is in connection po, ma'am, doon
Yes.
po sa poem ni Rudyard Kipling
Yes.
po. Kasi sabi po dito sa poster po na ginawa ko po, believe you can do it. Go out there and do it because that's the only way you're gonna get it. So, sabi po dito, kung mapapansin po ninyo sa may bandang itaas po, may nakalagay pang if you. So, ano po siya, medyo connected po talaga sa poem po na ginawa po ni Rudyard Kipling kasi 'di ba may if you din po 'yun sa dulo ay sa simula at saka may you sa dulo po. Ayun po. So, nakalagay po diyan if you believe you can do it. So, kailangan lang po talaga maniwala po tayo, lahat ang mga tao, lalo na po ang mga estudyanteng katulad ko, kahit gaano po kahirap yung ginagawa po natin ngayon sa on natin ito at malalagpasan din po natin ito. Tapos sabi po diyan, go out there and do it. So, kahit po talaga lack of gadgets o kaya minsan po lack of load, ganyan po. Pero sabi po dito pinuparaan kung gusto po natin maabot yung pangarap natin. Kasi sabi po diyan, because that's the only way you're gonna get it. Sabi po. Hindi syempre po kung mananatili lang po tayo sa isang kahon na hindi po tayo gagawa ng paraan, hindi po natin mapupursu yung dreams na meron po tayo, lalo na po kaming mga estudyante po, hindi po namin matatapos yung pag-aaral namin kung magpapaapekto po kami sa kung ano po yung nangyayari po ngayon sa buong mundo. Kaya ano lang po, laban lang po talaga ma'am para po makapagtapos po ng pag-aaral. Ayun lang po. Salamat po.
Okay, group two's work is very inspiring, diba? As we can see there, yes, this season is very hard for us because of the pandemic as well as the online classes. But still, we have to pursue our dreams. So thank you, Cheryl. What about the last group?
For our group, we created an infographic also in relation to the poem. So this is the of the poem, which is the resilience. It includes self-reflection, forgiving yourself and others, learning from mistakes, and to develop a strong social network with other people. Yun lang po. Thank you po.
Yes po ma'am. All of this po are present what we have captured the idea from po.
Okay, let's give your group a round of applause.
So that's it. We are done with our today's discussion. I know that you have learned a lot of life lessons on our discussion regarding the Rudyard Kipling's poem entitled "If." So I hope you will be using that in your real life application. So for your assignment, cre- I want you to create a motivational speech regarding your previous life experiences, your inspirational lessons, and how did you cope up on such struggles in that particular life struggle. So these are the other information. Your task is to motivate your other students to be optimistic in life. So as I've said earlier, you will be creating um, a motivational speech, and the situation is that you will portray a character of a motivational speaker in a career orientation event at your school. Your target audiences will be your first-time you have them to not life and despite of the difficulties that they might encounter. So you need to use the poem entitled If by Rudyard Kipling as your guide in making your speech. You can mention the parts and ideas in the poem that you can relate with. So the standards and criteria for this assignment is already attached on your Google Classroom. Just visit our online Google Classroom and click the document attached there and then just submit it on time based on our deadlines.
Okay, class, aside from your new assignment, I just want to remind you of your other submissions. To give you more time, I will move the submission of your other requirements next week. So make sure that you are working with it already because it will be moved next week, okay? So take note of the submissions because we will have our final exam after next week. Okay, class, is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much, class. That concludes our lesson for today. See you again next time.
Thank you, ma'am. Goodbye,
Thank you,
Thank you
ma'am.
po.
ma'am.
Bye
See
po.
you. Thank you po.
Bye, ma'am.